So we recently posted a video about the 15 reasons you might hate living in Austin, Texas. And look, all of those things are real, but spoiler alert, I do live in Austin, Texas, and I've lived here for going on 20 years. And I'm going to continue living here for a really long time because I think Austin, Texas is by far the best city in the entire world. And I'm gonna tell you 10 reasons why right now. And some of these are gonna be things that you definitely would not know about unless you had lived here for a while. All right, reason number one is Austin, Texas is the live music capital of the world. Now look, almost everybody knows that. And if you didn't know that, then you really don't know anything about Austin. And I don't even know why you're watching this video. But fun fact, I actually grew up playing in punk bands, rock bands, and like high school, college, and even a little bit after. And I grew up in the Houston area, and I would always come to Austin. My bands and we'd always come to Austin to play shows, and we'd always come to Austin to see shows, live music shows. And again, everybody knows Austin is famous for festivals like South by Southwest, ACL. But what you might not know is that there is live music everywhere, all day, 7 days a week, okay? So if you want to see a show, and it doesn't matter if you're into folk music, country music, punk, rock, hardcore, funk, rap, hip hop, R&B, blues, soul, like whatever kind of music you're into, like you are going to have a live music outlet somewhere in Austin, okay? So you've got anything from like super hole in the wall venues. Like there's literally a venue down the street from my house called Hole in the Wall. They have music, I'm pretty sure 7 nights a week. There are so many just cafes, coffee shops, restaurants that are always having live music. But then you've got like really great world-class music venues like Bass Concert Hall. There's the Moody Center, there's the Moody Amphitheater. So really, I mean, there is just something for everybody in Austin. If you're a music fan in like any sense of the phrase, and you can see music almost every single day of the week, in a way that's not super expensive at all. Very approachable, very attainable. All right, reason number two is that Austin is a city that still feels like a small town. All right, so something that you'll hear a lot is that Austin is the biggest small town, right? And even though Austin has experienced like explosive growth over the last several years, it's still like the community still feels pretty tight knit. Like it is incredible how many places I go, how many suburbs I go to, how many different parts of town I go to where I see people that I know. There are multiple times where I'll be out at lunch somewhere that's like 15 miles away from my house and I'll see 5, 6, 7 people that I know. I actually go to like a really tiny church. I think we probably have like 200 members at this point. And I'll go to a coffee shop sometimes down the street from my house, and I will literally see 5 or 6 people that I know just from my church. And so I was having coffee with someone recently, and I saw literally, I think I saw 5 people from my church, and they were like, "Dang, how big is your church?" And I was like, you know, I'm pretty sure we actually just saw like 10% of my church in this coffee shop right now. Then I know those numbers don't check out, but whatever. 2.5% of my church. So I'll tell you, like, I visited a lot of like the biggest cities in the world throughout my life. And in a lot of big cities that are the same size as Austin, like a lot of people just stay laser focused on what they're doing. They just kind of look down and they walk, and they're just not super warm and friendly. People don't stop to say hi. But like Austin is still one of those places, and I think it always will be, kind of because we're like in the Southwest. It's a place where people are warm. If you walk by someone and you do not smile and nod and say hi, they're gonna think something's wrong with you. It's still a place where like front porch culture is very much a thing whenever it's not too hot or too cold. Like if people are out on their porches, like, and you walk by, you are gonna get told hi, and you are going to get to know your neighbors whether you like it or not. And that is just something that I absolutely love about Texas in general, but I love it about Austin specifically. All right, reason number 3 is that nature is very integrated with city living in Austin. And here's what I mean by that. So Austin is very naturally beautiful. Like seriously, every time I'm driving down Mopac, and I cross Lady Bird Lake, otherwise known as Town Lake, otherwise known as the Colorado River. We call everything like 8 different things in Austin. But every time I drive past there and I look off into the Westlake Hills to my left, and then I look off to the right and there's downtown, it is just like stunningly, crushingly beautiful. And honestly, like there's so many different parts of town that are great. But one of the things I absolutely adore about Austin, and I took advantage of this when I was a college student living here. I took advantage of this when it was just me and my wife living here. And now we get to take advantage of this with our kids. And someday I'll use it with my grandkids. It's just all the different springs, creeks, rivers that you can swim in, like right in the middle of town. So obviously, well, I don't know if it's obvious to you, but there's Barton Springs. And Barton Springs Pool, like if you're visiting Austin, you have to visit Barton Springs Pool. So anyway, Barton Springs is seriously one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. It's like this natural pool area, but like you're in this pool and it's really cold all year round. Or it's like the same temperature all year round. So like in the summer, it's really cold. And then in the winter, honestly, it could be like 35 degrees outside and somehow Barton Springs feels warm. I don't really understand how that works, but it does. My wife and I, my kids, we always go, and you can swim for free there from 9 to 10 p.m., FYI. And you can swim there for free really early in the morning. I just can't remember the time. But every time I'm there and we're just swimming, we're just floating around, and I just look up and you can just see the downtown skyline right there. And we're just like, I cannot believe this is just like right smack in the middle of our city. And I mean, again, I've been to other cities with a lot of natural beauty, like Denver, Colorado, and Seattle and San Francisco, and like I have never experienced or even heard about anything like that. But you've also got Deep Eddy Pool. There is the Barton Creek Greenbelt that goes right through the middle of town, and so you got like there's Lost Creek, Twin Falls, Bull Creek. Like there are just so many creek entrances all over Austin that are free, that like when you're out there, you just feel like you are right out in the middle of the country, in the middle of freaking nowhere, but it's right in the middle of town, and it's super accessible. And so even though, yes, Austin gets very, very hot, that's something that we talked about in the 15 negative things about Austin video, but I feel like I gladly deal with the heat in exchange for a lot of really great natural places to swim. I think that is something very unique to Austin. So if living close to like a natural spring or a natural swimming source is something that's important to you, like definitely reach out to us. Let my team know. They'd love to connect with you and hear about that. Like literally, as we were sitting here recording this video, we had a great person just like you from YouTube reach out to us about moving to Austin. Or at least Aaron told me that we did. I didn't look at my phone because I'm driving.
It was true.
It's true. Verified. All right, so reason number 4, Austin has food that will ruin you in the best way. All right, so I talk about this all the time, but the food scene in Austin is mental, okay? There is just good food. You can just close your eyes and turn around and point, and like you're probably gonna point to an amazing restaurant. And like, I'm not kidding. Again, I've had food all over the world, and I mean, I think we have by far the best barbecue on the planet. I think next to Corpus Christi and maybe San Antonio, we have the best breakfast tacos, really the best tacos on the planet. I have had by far my favorite pizza ever here, and I've had pizza in Italy, all right? I think we have the best pizza. I mean, we have amazing Asian food. You got ramen. I've actually had hot pot dim sum, I think it's called. Probably like the 10 best burgers I've ever had in my life have been in Austin. But on top of that, we have world-class coffee, bakeries, pastries, ice cream. Like it's just mental. And it's like, I see new places popping up every single week. And it's just like Austin just keeps topping itself, and like, I don't know how these places survive, but they do. But yeah, it's almost like overwhelming. Like when my wife and I go on date night, literally, we had to pick one place, Julio's in Hyde Park on 43rd Street. We seriously had to pick one place to go to every single Thursday night, because date night would come up on Thursday night and we would just we would get overwhelmed. And it was like paralysis by analysis. We would just freeze up because there are literally like too many great places to choose from. So if you love really good food, then like what are you doing? Like, you should just move here. And if you do not love good food, then I don't care what you think, and you should stop watching this video right now. All right, now reason number 5 is that we do not have a state income tax. Now, here's something that you have to know. So your take-home pay is gonna go a lot farther here in Texas, especially if you're moving from a place like California or New York, New Jersey. Honestly, most states, if you're moving from there, your paycheck is gonna get a lot more bang for your buck with your paycheck. Now, here's something to keep in mind. Texas does have some of the highest property taxes in the country, but like honestly, the highest property tax you're gonna see here in Austin is right around 3%, maybe the low 3s. But you could probably plan on about 2.5% for your property taxes. And a lot of people are just like, what? That's crazy. You know, my property taxes are 1%. It's like 2.5 times my property tax rate. It's like, well, yes, like it's 1.5% higher property taxes maybe than what you're paying right now, but your state income tax more often than not will so much more than compensate for that. And so if this is something where you're like, man, like, I don't know, like, will moving to Central Texas, the Austin area, will it make sense for me financially? And like, how will that shake out for me personally? Definitely get in touch with a financial planner, talk to your accountant, but reach out to us right now so that our team can sit down with you and like weigh those pros and cons financially and just see if it makes sense financially for you to take on kind of our higher property tax rate. And spoiler alert, it's probably gonna make sense for you. All right, the number 6 reason I think Austin, Texas is the best city in the world is that we have a great startup culture and it has soul. All right, so I know there are a lot of cities out there like San Francisco, New York City, Seattle, even Dallas, Texas. They have also a great startup scene, but there's just something very, very unique about the way that it's done in Austin. And I think Austin's just kind of weird, you know? So I know there are a lot of places, like for example, Dallas, Texas, just a few hours up the road from us. Their kind of startup business scene feels like very stuffy and like very business-like, very formal. Like everyone's gonna have their shirts tucked in. Most people are gonna be wearing a tie. It just feels very, very formal. And in Austin, it's like, you never know who's a tech startup CEO up in here, all right? They could be wearing cutoff shorts, flip-flops, and a tank top with like shaggy hair. And like, you're gonna be fine. Aaron seriously just said that's facts, all right? That's what the kids say. Sleeper millionaire city, in the words of Aaron here. But anyway, I seriously just think that is such a cool thing. Like, even if you are in business and you're raising money, you're starting a business, like you can really be yourself here. In fact, if you are yourself, it's probably gonna be a massive advantage for you because people really value authenticity in Austin rather than just trying to fit in some kind of like corporate cookie cutter mold. And you know, I kind of just flew right past this, but I didn't really explicitly say it. Obviously, it's implied that there is a startup culture here, okay? So that's something that's really cool. I mean, if you're someone who likes new ideas, you like to create, you like to invent, you're a startup person, like you are gonna find a community here and you're gonna find just like a culture that is very supportive to innovators and creators. And that's just something that I personally see the benefit of just every single day. All right, now reason number 7 is that Austin, Texas is very family friendly with kind of a weird edge. And so honestly, like I don't really see this talked about enough. Like everybody talks about, like, yes, our suburbs are amazing and they're very family friendly, like every single one of them. But I actually also think that like the city of Austin itself is very family friendly. Like we have everything that a family would want in a city. You know, we've got great parks. Like I mentioned earlier, we've got the great swimming holes and creeks and springs and rivers and all kinds of stuff. We have great museums. We have an amazing children's museum. And another thing I don't really see talked about very much, this might be a little controversial, but I think Austin has like really great schools, depending on where you live and depending on where your kids are zoned to. So it's kind of crazy. Actually, starting next week, I'm gonna have one kid in elementary school, one kid in middle school, one kid in high school. And back before I was in real estate, in my former life, I was a teacher and I actually taught at public, private, and charter schools all over Austin. And guys, like there are some really great schools out there. So if you're moving here and you want to make sure your kid is zoned to a really great school, you got to get a hold of us. But if you talk to most kids who grew up here in Austin and you ask them if they had a great childhood, they're probably going to say it was amazing. I mean, my kids love all the places to swim. They love going to see Austin FC soccer games. They love going to the University of Texas, like football, softball, basketball, baseball games, and they just love it. I mean, they love being city kids. And you know what? Another thing that doesn't get talked a lot about in terms of Austin culture stuff is there are actually a ton of great churches here. Like if you want something big, small, mega church, church plant, which is kind of like a startup church. Even in that sense, there's kind of something for everybody here. And number 8, there's sunshine here almost all year long. So I actually didn't know this until I looked it up recently, but on average, Austin has over 300 days a year of straight sunshine. And yeah, that does mean it gets hot here in the summer, but people in Austin just kind of live life outdoors. So I mean, seriously, you can almost have an outdoor barbecue here all year round. There's kids outdoor sports literally all year round. You can bike here, you can mountain bike, you can run and trail run and play golf out here, like almost actually all year round. And I don't know about you guys out there, but like for me, like good weather affects my mood. It affects my personality. And on the flip side of that, bad weather affects my mood and just my psychological state. So like recently I went to Toronto for a few days and it was just really kind of misty and dark and cold and overcast the whole time I was there. And I seriously left there after 3 days just like, I feel weird. And so in Austin, again, for the overwhelming majority of the year, it's gonna be like this, like super bright, sunny. And so if you're like me, and that sort of stuff affects your psychological state, it's definitely going to be a huge benefit to you. And number 9 is that people actually want to visit you in Austin, Texas. And so look, if you love anyone enough, you will go visit them wherever they are. I get it. However, like we had some friends move to St. Louis recently, and I was just kind of like, that's gonna be, we gotta really wanna visit you to go to St. Louis. Or like, I had friends move to Cleveland once or Cincinnati, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, like probably not, you should come to us. So anyway, what I've noticed is like when people move here, like a lot of the times, family and friends, like they want to come visit you, which you might find that to be a negative, I don't know. I would find that to be a positive because I'm pretty extroverted. But kind of going along with like the previous 8 points, like there's just so much to do here. There's so much to see, just great food, great places to swim, so much music you can see that it's like, it totally makes sense why trying to convince your people to come to Austin to visit you is just like, it's a pretty easy task. So if you want to save money on travel, Austin is the place to be. All right, and the 10th reason that I think Austin, Texas is the best city in the world is that you can be yourself here. Now, I know I kind of already touched on this on one of my previous points. You can really tell I'm not reading off a script here. But it seriously doesn't matter. Like, you can be a tech bro, a startup guy, a fitness junkie, a Dungeons and Dragons nerd. No offense, Aaron.
Dude, none taken. I love Dungeons.
You do play D&D, right?
I actually do, with friends in Austin.
See what I'm talking about? You can be blue collar, white collar, a musician, a stay-at-home mom, a working mom, stay-at-home dad. You can be a trucker, a financial planner, a videographer, a realtor. And you might not believe me, but you can be a liberal and you can be a conservative, and you're going to be accepted here in Austin for who you are. And I'm gonna say it again. What's way more important than who you are or what you are, it's most important to Austinites that you're authentic and that you're honest with who you are. So even with the tech startup scene exploding, like even though there are actual like billionaires who have moved here, the fact still remains being fake here is not really tolerated. Or at least if you are fake, you are not going to thrive here. And I'm gonna actually give you a bonus reason why I think Austin is the best city in the world. So we're gonna go ahead and say number 11 is that we have some of the best suburbs on the planet. So it sounds funny to say, but Austin isn't all that Austin has. We've got so many almost like self-contained suburbs around here, like Georgetown, Leander, Round Rock, Buda, Dripping Springs, Bastrop. And if you want to see some full tours of some of our favorite Austin suburbs, you can check out our playlist right here.